and it's one that an honest person like myself, a plain Jane, just a neighborhood person, just somebody who just lived a family life and is, socially accepted, is not a good place. Politics is not a good place to be. You have to kind of have another agenda, and that one I don't choose to be. I was reborn in '77, and I'm still working on being as close as I can to going to heaven, and a lot of politicians won't make it.
Right.
if you know what I mean, because there's no honesty there. That it's a lot of things, a lot of games played, especially on the public, and that kind of disturbed me. So I can't be a politician. I don't have what it takes to be that. You have to take your compassion and put it somewhere. You have to take your sensibility and put it somewhere. You have to put away your devotion. The love that you have for people. Your loyalty, you have to put it somewhere, and I'm not that kind of person. I have to stay true to the game, and I always was raised right, to love your neighbor as you love yourself, and do unto others as you'll have them do unto you, and it doesn't exactly work that way in politics.
No, it doesn't.
No.
But I do, like I said, I want to thank you. If nobody never tells you, hey, I thank you as a citizen that you brought dignity, and so my time in Michigan in a due time will become short as I'm planning on relocating. I can always say if I had children, the wonderful effect that you brought in. No matter
Thank
what
you.
the politics and the newspapers, I noticed that unfortunately with the newspaper, Detroit News and Macomb Daily, they love to slander those that are native-born Detroit residents.
Yeah.
They look for anything to slanderize, and some of these same people will come to your concert and Motown Review and give their little speeches and everything else, and then throw a rock and hide their hand, which I consider it to be appalling.
Well, it had never been done before where an artist from Motown was even involved in politics. So I kind of think I broke the ground, and I hope I did a good job. I felt satisfied when I was not reelected that I was making the right decision. I didn't campaign that hard, to be honest. I just knew that I was ready to go back full-time show business, and not to confuse the two. I was not on stage on the council. I tried to be one of the council members and to just let people know in the city that Motown would never have happened had it not been for the public, for people buying our records and coming to the Greystone and staying in line at the Fox and seeing 4 shows for $2. We do 4 shows a day when we came to the Fox. And since it's been all dutified, they haven't had a Motown review yet, but maybe they'll remember.
Well, you know what? We may be able to do that next door.
Yeah.
Later
okay.
For them.
All right.
Can you tell us more about your history within Motown? Did you find it?
You're a good interviewer. You ever thought about getting the show over here at TV 33? You're a good interviewer. You ever thought about coming getting you a TV show over here at 33 or a radio show?
Shay, he's throwing rocks.
No, I'm not. She's asking some good questions.
Okay.
She's asking some good questions.
Okay.
I just want to know more about it because I'm interested in what happened. I'm interested in everything that took place in the 60s because it seemed like to me, though it was a lot of racial hostility, I noticed when I look at the pictures, the styles of clothes, it seemed to be 100% better. At least I can truly say the women looked better. They kept themselves up. The men were gorgeous, impeccable hairdos.
Yeah.
And when you see how they wear their hair now, my question to you, what is your opinion on the styles and the fabric that is made to produce clothing now versus the 50s and 60s? I think not just Motown, but how the styles of dress was 1,000% better, and I don't seem to understand why is that.
I got the question.
Yeah.
Motown had a artist development department. Professor Maxine Powell was our personal developer. She had had a modeling school prior to joining Motown's family, and she made a first-class model out of Berry Gordy's sister Gwen. She was the first black model on the back page of the Free Press, early 60s. So she came in, and Berry knew that we needed fine-tuning, so she taught us all how to be socially acceptable. She said, you're going to perform before lords and ladies, queens and kings, and let us know that our audiences were the kings and queens and the lords and ladies. They made us promise to be dressed. And I don't think you'll ever see me on stage in my bra and panty like some of the girls are performing today. I'm gonna try and stay in costume and wardrobe and represent the Motown sound the way we were taught. We were programmed. We were taught basic steps from vaudeville by Charlie Atkins, and Maurice King and Johnny Allen taught us music theory. So we learned to read music, we learned to sing great harmonies and retain great lyrics to wonderful songs, and play in places like the Copacabana, like the 20 Grand, like Vegas and Atlantic City. And I'll always be grateful that Berry Gordy was genius enough to train us. So we're trained, we're taught. We emulate the girls that used to sit at the bar at the 20 Grand. And you would say they were ladies of the night, but we had some of the sharpest ladies that sat at that bar at the 20 Grand, and we sort of styled our clothing after them. They were
and
I
agree.
dressed.
I found out that you sew. Is that correct?
Oh, yeah.
and can you tell me, when I look at the pictures, I look at the hairdos because I'm into hair.
Uh-huh.
I'm fascinated with hair.
Mm-hmm.
I see, and correct me if I'm wrong, it was no weaves out. It was a wigs, but it was no weaves. Everybody had their own hair. Is that correct? Except for little hair pieces, things like that.
We
But
progressed.
90% they had their own
hair. We progressed. When we first started traveling, we wore our own hair. And we would have a problem trying to keep heat on our hair because it breaks. You can't really put heat on your hair every day. So that called for the little hair pieces that we started adding. There were no such thing as weaves in the 60s, not for us anyway. I'm sure they had the method, but it wasn't open to blacks.
So
then we started wearing wigs.
Like my mother said, they wore their own hair.
That's right.
Or a wig.
That's right. Or a wig.
Now, do you agree with now it's been overweaved, populated, where
it's unbelievable.
Nowadays it's ridiculous, and they charge prices for quality that I've gotten the privilege to see real quality, $10,000 and $20,000 hair versus $200 and $300, and it doesn't compare.
Well, we
and
do
I'm
everything.
just so tired of seeing the weave. Hodo, I know you tired of seeing the weave too. It's just you don't see nobody wearing their own hair any longer.
Well, I have to confess, I'm sitting here now weaved, but it's believable because I'm not overdoing it.
Right?
You shouldn't. You can't really judge, but everybody's trying to look good to make the money. It's all about what sells, and some of it is unbelievable. But show business, show business calls for some of the things that are happening today. A lot of our work was cut down because we don't dress the way that the hoochies, did you say hoochies?
Oh, girl.
Are dressing today. And we don't dance with our bodies. We dance with our feet.
You had more rhythm. When I look at the dancing of the 60s, they had rhythm.
Yes.
And it wasn't something like when you see the modern dance of today.
All they need is a foam mattress. Just lay down. Yeah, right.
With no real rhythm. It's slow and no rhythm. In the 60s, you had to know how to move your feet. Real fast.
That's right.
Quick on your feet. And this younger generation,
it's all about the hips and going to bed.
They're very slow on their feet.
And go to bed. That's what it means. What their dancers are doing, it means go to bed. Go to bed.
Yeah.
Thank you, Shay.
No rhythm, stiff on the feet. And I just say that you should really promote that time. It's wonderful. I wish that I could have been of that era. I wasn't born quite yet, but
do you think you'll make it to the telethon? We could talk more.
I'm going to come if I can.
Come on, we'll talk more.
Don't know if I'm going to be in town.
You'll be here. You won't be here Thursday?
No. I won't be here.
Okay.
Oh.
Well,
I won't
we'll
be
meet
here.
again somewhere soon. We'll
Oh,
talk
yes,
some
I
more.
will always be supportive of you and just share more of the stories. And thank you, Ojo, for having Martha on.
Bless
It's
your
a
heart.
delightful, treat to, have a real Motown legend and can speak on something that's fascinating, to those of us that has followed Motown.
And made us
I thank you for,
made
again,
us famous.
carrying
Detroit loved us
yourself
first.
like a lady. I mean, I think you should offer classes because these younger
So you may be the one that taught you now.
Huh?
I say that she may very well be able to take up where the lady that taught
Professor
her.
Maxine Powell is still with us,
Maxine,
and she
because,
still
you
gives
brought
lessons.
class. If,
Okay.
the younger generation
They need it.
comes from a ghetto persuasion.
Yeah, they need
and
it. They
I
need to
was
be
taught that
refined.
even if you came out to Jeffries, as Martha can tell you, those that came out to Jeffries and the Brewster projects, they still had class and they had dignity. You didn't see a lot of, women dressing provocative, uneducated, and
My generation
children
before me
out of
was a good
wedlock.
example.
Oh my God, that's horrible.
My generation before me was a good example. My aunts and my mother's friends were all ladies. They all dressed. They all paid attention to how they carried themselves. So we're just.
And they wore their own hair. I still have to
Yeah.
emphasize that, that they didn't have that weave, and the makeup was good. You remember when Powell Studios did water painting of the pictures, so that everybody, even if you wasn't good looking, you were made to look like an angel.
Yeah. Yeah. There's lessons to be learned if you're going to be in the public's eye.
Yeah, and it's nobody to teach that. And when you see these people, 13 and 14, and they don't care how they're dressed, they don't care about their appearance, it's awful. And then people will make excuse where it's a different time. But what does a different time if you don't know class and decency?
Well, Shay, I'm going to have to put a pin in it there because we got a full line of calls.
Yeah, we got to get
You're
out
going
of
to
here.
have folks mad at you, Shay.
We'll be here all night.
But
Well, I love
I'm just
Martha,
messing
and
with you.
I
I
love you
appreciate
too.
your call, but we got to get to some other calls.
Okay.
we'll
Thank
talk
you,
again
Shay.
soon. God bless.
Bye-bye.
We'll get Martha back again.
Yeah. Hello.
Caller, you on the air. Go ahead.
Hodo,
Yes, sir.
what a great program. Hi, Martha Reeves.
Hi.
I want to ask you a question.
What's your name first?
When Van Halen covered your Dancing in the
This is
Streets,
Paul.
that was a riot for me in the 80s.
All right.
And I want to know if you ever got to meet Eddie and David Lee Roth, or how did that come about? Because that song went even number one, even way, way strong. They got lucky covering that tune.
I love it.
I love
the
it.
first people to cover it was the Mamas and the Papas. Mama Cass and I were standing backstage in California, and a kid walked up to us and said, "Who recorded Dancing in the Street first, you or Mama Cass?" And she looked like she's about to hit that kid. She says, "How dare you not know that Martha Reeves was the first to record that song?" Not only has Van Halen and David Lee Roth recorded it, but the Grateful Dead, The Who, Brenda Lee,
Everybody does it.
Dusty
The Van Halen one was-
Springfield,
yeah.
Neil Diamond. And Bruce Springsteen sings a little bit of it in one of his songs.
Everybody does
Everybody's
it, but I'm
covered
talking with
it.
the Van Halen one was probably the most powerful when it brought that back to,
Well, Mick Jagger and Dave Bowie made more money than Van Halen.
well,
They raised money for the charity for Africa. They raised
they're
so
still
many
going
millions.
strong. Van Halen's not that way, but I'm going to see you Thursday.
All right. Thank you,
Yeah,
Paul.
Hodo,
Come on, help us.
Let me let you go, but what a great program. It's a privilege to talk to you because I grew up way, I'm born in 57, so I was just lucky enough to grow up with all the girls.
You're a teeny bopper.
Yeah, I loved all the girls.
All right.
I'll
Bless
see
your
ya.
heart. See you on Thursday.
Thank you, Paul. Caller, you on the air. Go ahead. Listen to the telephone, not the TV. It's a delay on TV.
Hello?
Yes.
Hello?
You're on the air. Go ahead. Cut your TV down so we can hear you.
He put the phone in front of the TV.
Alright. I want to give a shout out. I want to give a shout out to my baby kid,
Caller, you on the air. Go ahead.
Hello.
Call you in the air. Go ahead.
Yes, hello.
Yes, speak up for me, please.
Yes, hello. How you doing, Miss Reed?
Good morning.